The usually calm and composed morning audience of Lorraine was not prepared for what unfolded that Thursday. What was supposed to be a light-hearted interview with the legendary Sir Michael Caine quickly spiraled into one of the most talked-about moments in British television. It all began innocently. Lorraine Kelly, dressed in a bright floral dress, smiled warmly as she introduced the 92-year-old actor. A true legend of British cinema joins us today, Sir Michael Caine. The audience erupted in applause. Caine, wearing a navy suit and his signature glasses, waved modestly as he took his seat. "Good morning, Lorraine," he said in his gravelly voice. "Lovely to be here. Always a pleasure." At first, their conversation flowed easily. They discussed his latest memoir, A Life Well Lived, and his reflections on a 7-decade-long career. Lorraine asked about his early struggles, his roles in The Italian Job and Alfie, and even teased him about still being dangerously charming. But then, things began to shift. Lorraine brought up a recent comment Michael had made in a newspaper interview, a remark about modern actors lacking discipline, which had sparked debate online. "You've been a bit controversial again, Sir Michael," Lorraine said with a playful grin. "You said today's young actors don't take their craft as seriously. Some people thought that was a bit harsh." Michael straightened in his chair. "It's not harsh, Lorraine. It's the truth," he replied, his tone steady but firm. "When I started, you trained, you worked hard, you respected the director and your fellow cast. Now, half the time, they're on their phones between takes." The audience chuckled, but Lorraine wasn't smiling anymore. "But don't you think times have changed? Young people face different pressures." "Pressure?" Michael interrupted. "You call it pressure when they get millions of followers for doing nothing. When they can't memorize a line without a teleprompter. Come on, Lorraine." There was an awkward silence. Lorraine, visibly taken aback, tried to steer things back. "I think it's important to understand the new generation, Sir Michael. The world's moved on since the 1960s. "Yes, it has," he said sharply. "And not always for the better." The tension in the studio was thick. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Lorraine, determined not to lose control of her own show, leaned forward and smiled tightly. "You sound a bit like a grumpy old man, Sir Michael," she said with a forced laugh. Caine's eyes narrowed slightly behind his glasses. "I'd rather be a grumpy old man than a hypocrite, Lorraine." The audience gasped. Even Lorraine froze for a moment before regaining her composure. "Excuse me, what do you mean by that?" Michael took a breath, clearly irritated. "You sit here every morning talking about authenticity, kindness, and positivity, yet the moment someone speaks their mind, you call it grumpy. That's hypocrisy, my dear." The silence that followed was deafening. Lorraine blinked rapidly, her face flushing. "Well, that's your opinion," she said tightly. "I think we'll have to agree to disagree." But Michael wasn't finished. "No, Lorraine, that's the problem, people don't disagree anymore. They cancel, they shout, they twist your words. I've lived long enough to see good manners die on live television." The control room signaled for a commercial break, but the cameras were still rolling. Lorraine forced another smile. "All right, Sir Michael, let's maybe move on to something lighter, your book. You talk about gratitude, don't you?" "Yes," he said curtly. "Gratitude for people who can still hold a conversation without pretending to be offended." That was the breaking point. Lorraine stood slightly, her tone icy but polite. "Sir Michael, I think we'll take a quick break right now." Before the show could fade to the ad segment, Michael muttered under his breath, "Maybe next time, find someone who actually wants to talk." The microphone caught it. Viewers at home heard it. Social media exploded within minutes. When the cameras came back, Lorraine was alone on screen, her expression composed but her tone noticeably firm. "We had to end our interview early," she explained. "Sir Michael Caine has left the studio." That clip went viral almost instantly. #Michael Caine and #Lorraine Kelly trended worldwide within the hour. Opinions were split. Some sided with Lorraine, calling Caine out of touch, while others applauded his blunt honesty, saying, "At least someone's saying what everyone's thinking." Later that afternoon, a spokesperson for ITV released a statement. The interview between Lorraine Kelly and Sir Michael Caine took an unexpected turn. Both parties have since spoken privately. ITV wishes Sir Michael the best with his new book. Meanwhile, tabloids ran wild. One headline read, Sir Michael storms off set after clash with Lorraine Kelly. Another said, national treasure or national trouble. Michael Caine divides fans after heated TV moment. That evening, paparazzi spotted Caine leaving his London home, looking calm and unbothered. When asked if he regretted what happened, he simply replied, "I said what I meant. Lorraine's a lovely woman, but I'm not here to please everyone." By nightfall, clips of the exchange had been viewed over 10 million times. And while ITV quietly deleted the full video from their website, it was clear that the moment had already become part of British TV history. The morning after the explosive interview, the entertainment world was still buzzing. Every talk show, newspaper, and social media feed was flooded with clips of Sir Michael Caine's fiery words and Lorraine Kelly's stunned reaction. Some called it the most uncomfortable moment on British TV in years. Others simply couldn't stop watching. Lorraine Kelly arrived at the ITV studios earlier than usual that day. She looked tired, her cheerful morning show energy dimmed by the flood of online comments. Some viewers defended her, praising her professionalism, others accused her of provoking a national treasure. When the cameras rolled for Lorraine live, she took a deep breath and addressed the issue head-on. "Good morning," she began softly. "Before we start today's show, I just want to say a quick word about yesterday's interview with Sir Michael Caine. It was unfortunate that things became tense. I've always respected Sir Michael and his incredible career. Sometimes, emotions run high, especially when discussing big topics like change and values. I wish him nothing but the best." She smiled, but her eyes betrayed exhaustion. The internet, however, wasn't done. Within minutes, her clip was circulating again, this time under new captions. Lorraine speaks out after Caine clash. Some praised her grace. Others accused her of backtracking. Meanwhile, across London, Sir Michael Caine was sitting by the window of his Chelsea home, sipping his morning tea. His wife, Shakira, placed a newspaper on the table. The front page read, "Caine vs. Kelly, Clash of Generations." Michael sighed. "They make it sound like a boxing match," he muttered. Shakira smiled gently. "You were very direct, Michael. Maybe too direct." He chuckled. "At my age, love, you stopped sugarcoating things. I said what I felt." But even he hadn't expected the storm that followed. A clip of his line, "I'd rather be a grumpy old man than a hypocrite," had become a viral meme overnight. Fans used it to comment on everything from politics to pop culture. One tweet read, "Greater than, Sir Michael Caine ending. Careers before breakfast. What a legend." Another replied, "No, he was rude. Lorraine handled it better than most would." By midday, ITV producers contacted Caine's publicist, asking if he would issue a brief statement to calm the situation. At first, he refused. But later, after receiving hundreds of supportive, and some hateful, messages, he agreed to appear on BBC Radio 2 for a follow-up interview. That afternoon, the BBC studio was buzzing with anticipation. The host, Zoe Ball, welcomed him warmly but didn't waste time getting to the point. "Sir Michael, the whole country's been talking about your interview with Lorraine Kelly. Do you regret how it went?" Caine smiled faintly. "Regret? Maybe a little," he admitted. "I respect Lorraine. She's good at her job. But I don't apologize for speaking honestly. We've become a world where telling the truth feels like an insult. That's what worries me." Zoe nodded thoughtfully. "But do you think it could have been said differently?" He laughed. "Probably. My wife tells me I've lost my filter, and she's probably right. But I come from a generation where we spoke plainly. No drama. Just truth." Listeners flooded the station with messages, some applauding his candor, others calling for an apology. The BBC interview itself went viral again, and by evening, Michael Caine's name was trending for the second day in a row. At the same time, ITV was under pressure. Advertisers were nervous about the controversy, and Lorraine's producers debated inviting Sir Michael back for a short reconciliation interview. Lorraine herself hesitated. "He called me a hypocrite on live television," she told her team. "I'm not sure viewers want a reunion." But public opinion shifted once more when a behind-the-scenes video surfaced, leaked from an audience member's phone. In it, moments after the cameras cut, Lorraine and Michael could be seen standing close, quietly talking. She smiled faintly and touched his arm. He nodded, saying, "You know I meant no harm, love. I just get fiery sometimes." The crowd gasped as the clip spread online. Many people now believed that the tension wasn't as serious as the tabloids had suggested. They made peace right after. One user tweeted, "This whole thing was blown out of proportion." By evening, both Lorraine and Michael had released joint statements through their representatives. Greater than, Lorraine Kelly and Sir Michael Caine share mutual respect. Their spirited conversation reflected two generations, perspectives on art and life. There are no hard feelings. But that didn't stop the public fascination. TV pundits debated whether the moment symbolized the generational gap, in modern Britain, between traditional values and New World sensitivity. On Good Morning Britain, one panelist said, "It's not about who was right. It's about how we talk to each other now." Caine represents honesty, Lorraine represents empathy. Both are necessary. Michael Caine, meanwhile, took the situation in stride. When paparazzi asked him if he'd ever return to Lorraine, he smiled mischievously. "Only if she makes me tea first." A week later, ITV aired a short pre-recorded segment of the two icons meeting again, this time in a relaxed setting. Lorraine presented him with a mug reading, "Grumpy but great," and Michael laughed heartily. "Now that," Lorraine joked, "is the real Sir Michael Caine." The audience cheered. The tension had finally turned into humor, a perfect ending for what had started as a fiery on-air clash. As the segment closed, Lorraine turned to the camera and said, "Sometimes a little honesty can cause a storm, but sometimes, it's just what we need to clear the air." Sir Michael nodded beside her. "You're right, Lorraine. And next time, I'll try to be polite. When I tell the truth." The studio erupted in laughter. What began as controversy ended as a moment of reflection. Two professionals, two generations, learning that respect doesn't mean silence, and honesty doesn't always have to burn bridges. The clip of their reunion quickly went viral too, but this time, the headlines were different.